The worst pain isn't the lie. It's hugging a body that isn't yours anymore and pretending you can't feel the difference. Most men know. They just don't want to know. If you value clarity over comfort, hit subscribe to Psychology Insight, tap like, and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. Now breathe. Stay calm. Let's talk like adults. 8 signs. No shouting, no drama, just truth and what to do about it. 1. The quiet switch off. There's a silence that cuts deeper than words. You don't need her to spell it out. You can feel it in her body. Every couple builds a rhythm over time. You know how she normally greets you, how she leans into your hug, how her touch carries weight. Then suddenly, that rhythm breaks. You go in to kiss her, and she tilts her head just slightly away. Not enough to call it rejection, but enough that you feel it. You reach for her hand on the couch, and she doesn't squeeze back. She just lets it sit there. In bed, you brush against her shoulder, and she stiffens instead of softening. She'll tell you she's tired, but it's not that sleepy kind of tired where the body still feels heavy and warm. No. This is a cold, tired, a distant one. Here's the psychology behind it. When someone is fulfilled elsewhere, they don't come home searching. They come home full. That hunger you were used to feeding, gone. Attraction doesn't age out, it redirects. She used to wait by the door for you after work. Now she scrolls on her phone and barely looks up. It's not about routine. It's about replacement. The hardest part for men? Denial. We lie to ourselves. It's just stress. We've been together a long time. This is normal. But no, brother, it's not. Intimacy doesn't just turn off like a switch. It shifts when there's another current pulling her. So what do? You don't beg. You don't demand. You don't try to force warmth back into a body that's already cooled. That's desperation, and it makes you weaker. Instead, you pull back. You watch. You test. You see if the distance shrinks on its own. A woman who still loves you will notice that space and close it. A woman who has given herself away will let it stretch wider. The truth is painful, but freeing. If her body goes silent with you, stop striking matches against wood that won't burn. Because silence isn't random. It's a signal. And ignoring it doesn't save the relationship. It just delays your own heartbreak. 2. The erase and replace ritual. Cheating doesn't announce itself with red lipstick on the collar like in movies. It comes wrapped in something cleaner. Too clean. She walks in smelling like roses, vanilla, lavender, anything but life. Suddenly she's obsessed with showers, longer than usual. Clothes swapped when there's no reason. Underwear changed halfway through the day. Perfume sprayed like she's going to a wedding, even though she just came from the grocery store. On the surface, it looks like self-care. But underneath, it's a ritual. What I call the erase and replace. Why? Because women know bodies tell stories. Skin carries scent. Hair remembers touch. Fabric holds traces. And if she doesn't scrub, spray, and polish, you might smell what she's trying to hide. She isn't just cleaning her skin. She's trying to wipe her conscience clean. Most men miss it because they want to miss it. We lie to ourselves again. She's just taking better care of herself. She finally found a perfume she likes. But deep down, your gut tells you different. Change is the key word here. She didn't rush to the shower before. She didn't guard her laundry like it was treasure. Now she does. The mistake men make? Laughing it off. Treating it as nothing. But hygiene doesn't just shift overnight without reason. And if it pairs with other signals, coldness, distance, odd affection, you have to take note. So what's the right move? Not rage, not accusing, awareness, quiet clarity. You don't need to scream, "Where were you?" You just need to notice. If she walks in freshened up every single time, if she's hiding clothes, if the scent of her body feels different than usual, stop brushing it off. Connect the dots. Because here's the truth. The more she tries to erase, the louder it actually gets. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. 3. The sudden villain script. Cheating carries guilt, and guilt needs somewhere to land. Instead of holding it, she pushes it on you. Out of nowhere, you're the problem. You load the dishwasher wrong. You forgot one errand. You're too quiet. You're too loud. Whatever you do, it isn't right. That constant irritation isn't random, it's strategy. Here's the psychology. Projection. She paints you as the villain, so she doesn't feel like the betrayer. In her mind, she cheated because you were inattentive, boring, controlling. Pick your poison. By rewriting the story, she becomes the victim, not the one who broke the bond. Men lose here because we argue. We defend ourselves. We try to prove we're still the good guy. But every defense just gives her more ammo to justify her guilt. Suddenly, you're on trial in your own house, walking on eggshells for crimes you didn't commit. The smarter move? Stop defending. Don't argue point for point. Next time she throws a random jab, look her in the eye and say calmly, "You don't need to fight to justify what you've already decided." Then step back. Quiet. That single sentence blows up the script. Why? Because you're not playing the role she wrote for you. Her guilt doesn't have a place to land anymore, and it stays with her. And that's where it belongs. This isn't weakness. Silence is strength when it's controlled. Weakness is letting yourself get dragged into chaos. Real strength is calm clarity. And once you see this tactic, you'll never unsee it again. 4. Body language. That doesn't add up. Words can lie. Bodies rarely do. You've been with her long enough to know her normal energy, how she leans in, how she kisses back, how her breathing changes. Then suddenly, the rhythm breaks. She's too stiff, or too relaxed, almost exaggerated. Sometimes overly affectionate, sometimes cold. That swing isn't random, it's a sign. Think of it like music. You know the beat of her song, and when the song changes, even if the words are the same, your body feels it. That's why you sense something's off before you can explain it. Men gaslight themselves here. We say, she's stressed, she's hormonal, she's tired. Sure, maybe. But when the change is sudden, when it doesn't match her usual self, don't ignore your senses. Your gut is smarter than you give it credit for. The worst mistake? Overcompensating, trying harder, more affection, more effort, more patience, as if flooding her with love will erase what's already gone. It doesn't. If anything, it highlights the distance even more. So what do? Scale back. Not to punish, but to observe. Don't chase her body. Watch her consistency. See if her energy stabilizes back to the rhythm you know, or if it stays out of tune. If it stays wrong, you already have your answer. Because ignoring the mismatch isn't loyalty, it's fear. And fear will humiliate you faster than any betrayal. 5. The honey flood. Guilt affection. Here's the cruel irony. Sometimes betrayal doesn't show up as distance. It comes smothered in kisses. You've felt her slipping, you've noticed the silence, then suddenly she's warm again. Hugging you tighter, cooking your favorite meal, whispering, "I love you," like her life depends on it. At first you think, finally she's back. She missed me. But deep down, something feels off. The affection feels too thick, too sudden. This isn't love returning. It's guilt trying to drown itself. A woman who has crossed a line often swings in the opposite direction. She feels dirty inside, so she covers it with sweetness outside. She clings to you, not out of desire, but out of self-preservation. If she can convince herself she's still a good partner, maybe the weight of her betrayal won't crush her. The psychology is simple. Guilt seeks balance. If she gave her body away, she'll try to give back through affection, hoping to trick herself into feeling clean. And you, hungry for reassurance, become the sponge she squeezes it onto. Here's the trap. You want to believe. You crave that closeness, so you let your guard down. You stop observing. You say to yourself, "She must still love me. Look at all this effort." But effort doesn't equal authenticity. Sometimes it equals acting. So what do? you test the source. Ask yourself, does her affection come steady, like it used to, or only in bursts after unexplained absences? Does her touch feel like desire or like apology? Is it natural or is it exaggerated, almost like a performance? And here's the harsh truth. Don't reward guilty affection. Don't become the comfort toy she clings to while her passion lives elsewhere. If you accept affection that's born from guilt, you train her to believe she can cheat and still come back to you for emotional relief. You become her escape, not her choice. Real affection doesn't feel rehearsed. Real closeness doesn't show up only after long silences. Love doesn't need theater, and once you taste the difference, you'll never mistake one for the other again. 6. Present body, absent soul. There's a difference between lying beside you and being with you, and once you've felt it, you know. She can go through the motions, touch you, move with you, even moan like before. But her eyes, empty, her energy, somewhere else. You feel it instantly, that she's present physically but absent emotionally. This is the most brutal stage because it doesn't scream, it whispers. Everything looks normal on the surface. The show is running. But you can sense you're not making love. You're helping her cover her guilt. She's there in body only, and her mind is miles away, maybe replaying something you'll never see. Men hate this one because it attacks their pride. So we tell ourselves lies. She's stressed. She's just tired. But stress still allows presence. Tiredness still allows closeness. This absence, it's different. It's a void. The mistake men make is doubling down, trying harder, more patience, more affection, more effort in bed. But you can't win a fire back by adding wood when the flame already left. She doesn't need more. She doesn't want more. She's already burning elsewhere. So what do? Respect yourself enough to notice. Stop confusing physical participation with emotional presence. If her soul isn't there, recognize it. Don't accuse, don't beg, just observe. And most of all, don't humiliate yourself by chasing what's already gone. Next time you sense that emptiness, pause. Look at her, and in your own head, admit the truth. This isn't connection. This is performance. That honesty hurts, but it frees you. Because pretending she's still with you is far worse than losing her. Intimacy without presence isn't love. It's humiliation dressed as closeness, and you don't deserve that. 7. Time slips and hollow. Excuses love always makes time. When someone cares, the clock bends. A woman in love with you will find ways to come back to you, even in chaos. But when her desire dies, time starts slipping. Suddenly she's late again and again. Work ran long. My phone died. Traffic was bad. The excuses stack up, thin and lifeless. Yes, life gets messy. We all get caught up sometimes. But when lateness becomes a pattern, when absence becomes routine, it's not about life. It's about priorities, and you're no longer top of her list. Here's the psychology. Lateness is a test. She's measuring how much you'll tolerate. How many times can she push the line before you push back? And every time you accept it, every time you swallow your suspicion to keep the peace, you teach her something. Your dignity is negotiable. Men fall into silence here. They don't want to sound insecure, so they let it slide. But insecurity isn't asking for respect. Insecurity is pretending you don't notice. So what's the right move? You don't interrogate. You don't demand. You track the pattern. Stop dissecting every excuse. Stop arguing about details. The details are lies. The pattern is the truth. Next time she shows up late with another weak story, keep your voice calm. No yelling, no begging. Just say, "You weren't here, and that tells me enough." Then let silence sit. That silence is powerful. It puts the weight back on her choices. Because here's the reality. When a woman truly wants you, she finds her way home. Maybe late once, sure, but not as a habit. If she's always absent, it's because she's present somewhere else. And that's all you need to know. 8. The collapse of her story. Lies have a short shelf life. She can polish her words, rehearse her lines, but pressure cracks everything. And when it cracks, the story collapses. You've seen it. Details don't match, timelines shift, excuses change depending on the day. One night it's a coworker, the next it's an errand. Her words don't line up and her eyes won't meet yours. That's not stress, that's deception unraveling. Most men waste time chasing proof. They want smoking guns, undeniable evidence like a detective show. But life doesn't hand you receipts. Truth shows up in inconsistencies. It shows in how her tone doesn't match her words, in how her gaze flickers when you ask a simple question. The mistake? You become her lawyer and her detective at once. You grill her, you beg for clarity, you demand a confession. But the harder you push, the more she twists. And you end up sounding crazy while she tightens the mask. So what's the better move? You stop playing detective. You don't need airtight evidence. You already see the signals, the changes, the silence, the shifts in her body and her story. That's your proof. Next time her story trips over itself, don't rescue her with questions. Don't try to make it make sense. Just let it fall. And when it does, you quietly step out. No accusations, no courtroom scene, just a calm decision. I don't believe you, and I don't need to anymore. That's not weakness. That's power. Because the moment you stop demanding truth from someone who thrives on confusion, you reclaim your dignity. You stop being the man chasing lies, and you become the man who values clarity over comfort. And here's the hardest truth. The collapse of her story isn't the end of her loyalty. It's the beginning of your choice. Do you keep betraying yourself by staying blind? Or do you finally walk with your head high? So here's the truth, brother. These signs aren't here to make you paranoid. They're here to stop you from betraying yourself. The worst betrayal isn't her. It's you ignoring what's right in front of your eyes. You don't need to beg. You don't need to play detective. All you need is clarity, boundaries, and the courage to act. Because love without respect is just slow self-destruction. If this video gave you even one moment of clarity, hit that like button, subscribe to Psychology Insight, and drop your city in the comments so I know how far this message is reaching. And share this with a man who's still blind to the truth, because sometimes one sign is all it takes to save your dignity.